So good morning to you all. We've just got into August now, and the roses are just starting to liven up again, which is the usual thing that they do. We normally have a bit of a lull during July while everybody just gets their energy together, they have a good feed, and then they put on another lovely flush for us through August. So I'll show you what's going on. I'll show you the roses to start with, and then I want to take you into the orchard. Basically what we've got here is a food forest. We planted lots of fruit trees. Well, to be honest, we didn't plant many fruit trees. I grafted a lot of fruit trees, which is how we've ended up with so many. And they're really starting to come into their own now. So I'm going to take you and show you how the branches are all weighed down with apples and pears and plums, and we've also got other things like raspberries and black currants, blackberries, red currants, rhubarb. We went to a show recently, Heckington show, which is local to us, and I bought an apricot tree. I have tried in the past. I bought an apricot tree and also a peach tree a few years ago, but I think I just planted them in the wrong place, and they both died. I think it was due to waterlogging, because where I planted them we do get a lot of standing water in the winter, which is quite a no-no really, I've since discovered, for that type of tree. So the one that I bought, I've potted it onto a bigger pot, and I've put it in the polytunnel for now. I've been told that if it's left in the polytunnel it will fruit earlier, and also it will be protected from the frost, because the blossom is very frost prone and could be damaged. So obviously then that would damage the fruit. So anyway, let's get on and see some roses. So this is the main garden that we look out onto from our patio, and this one is coming into its second flush, and it's really beautiful. It's Reinhard Beiler, and it's one that I bought from our local garden centre this summer just gone. Well, the summer that we're in. I did put a video on when I bought it. I'm really pleased with that one. It's seems to be very healthy and very floriferous as well. And then moving across, we've got Chandos Beauty, which again is another one of my favourite roses. So if we just go across here, and these two yellow ones are both the Poet's Wife. She's beautiful, and she's got a really strong fruity citrusy flavour, which is definitely lemony. Now these ones here, the paler ones, are actually on the same plant, so sometimes they do pale up before they come out, and then they get that deep yellow centre. And then I've got another Poet's Wife, a younger plant behind, and they're all fully open now, so they're looking good. Here at the front, coming into her, well, she's in her second flush, is Desdemona, and she was a new one this year that I bought potted. I'm really pleased with her, she's lovely. At the back, really striking colour and always stands out. That one's Timeless Purple. We've had a really dry summer here, and it has taken its toll on the roses. Roses do need a lot of water, and so I've been watering when I can, but obviously there's only so much you can do, so up to a certain extent they've been left to their own devices. This is the little courtyard garden, and I've been so impressed this year with Jude the Obscure. It's a beautiful fragrant rose, and normally I found it to be really susceptible to the rain. Now these flowers have been out for quite a while, and they're just about to shatter. They do come off the plant very cleanly, and so it's obvious when it needs deadheading. Basically this is what I would class as a perfect bloom. It's probably been out a few days. As you can see, it's got a really deep cup. It usually gets to no more than about 3 inches across, but it's probably 2 inches deep, the flower. Here we've got another group of 3, and the fragrance, honestly, it really is so powerful. And what I did with this shrub this year is I chopped it right down, and as it's grown up and flowered, I've been quite brutal really, and I've chopped it back quite hard because I wanted to establish a new framework of canes. If I just move you across a little bit, I basically did the same thing with this one. This is Tranquility, and after its first flush I trimmed the stems down so that they were all about 2 foot high, and now as you can see it's really bushed out, which is what I expected it to do, and it's starting now to bud up again, ready for flowering, probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It's probably going to be late August before this one's covered in flowers again, which it normally is. It's a really good, reliable David Austin rose. So that one's Tranquility, and it's a white rose with a fresh appley fragrance, which is just so different really to a lot of the other fragrances that I've smelt on the roses. I've got quite a few of these dotted around, and I wouldn't be without them really, because they're so full of flower when they do bloom. So panning round past Jude the Obscure, this is a little lady that I bought this summer, and this is called Lilac Bouquet, and she's a little rambling rose which I got to put over this arch that my husband put up for me. I've got quite a few arches, and I really like having the height in the garden, because you can sort of just buy shrub roses and they can all be on the same level. So some of my ramblers that I've bought, I've put them next to trees so that they can scramble up and just add a bit more interest. But yeah, I'm quite liking this one. It's almost thornless, and even though when the flowers go over they can look a little bit scruffy, it just seems to be just a prolific bloomer. It's always had flowers since I bought it, so I might get another one of these. I'm really pleased. And moving along here, I've got Abraham Derby. That flower in the middle I think will need deadheading pretty soon if the wind doesn't take it out. we're supposed to be due to get some quite heavy strong winds in the next few days, so I think a lot of the fruit from the trees will be going, and a lot of the petals from these roses as well. But this is a lovely rose. I know I say that about all of my roses, but this one's sort of, if you can get the health right on it, and it has got a bit of rust at the moment, but if you can get the health right on Abraham Derby, then it's one of the best roses. The fragrance is outstanding, and I just think the colour is just so gorgeous. So at the moment, that's just about all I've got in this bed to show you that's blooming. I've got another Jude the Obscure over here, and again this is on an archway. This archway's been here a few years now, but I don't know if you can see, there's an odd flower up there of Jude the Obscure and some buds. So basically you can have this rose as a shrub rose, or you can allow it to climb. So I've got a bit of both really here in the garden. I've got one next door to it, and that one's just a short shrub, but it will have the option to climb because it's next to this post of the pergola. They're quite versatile really, as you probably all know. A lot of roses, especially David Austin roses, can be kept short as a shrub, or you can allow some of the canes, some of the strong canes, allow them just to keep going, and they will become a climber. That one's Minerva. Not very many flowers on that one at the moment. A few buds coming. Probably need a little bit of feeding. So as promised, I'm taking you into the food forest orchard, but on the way I'll show you this walnut tree. It's got some nuts developing here. Now last year we had not as many nuts on the tree as we've got this year, but I was quite happily looking at the nuts growing, thinking, oh, about another month to go and then I'll be coming out and harvesting them. And then I just happened to look up one day and the whole lot had gone. Every single nut had been stripped from the tree, and I'm sure you can guess who'd done it. Yes, our squirrels that seem to have made this place their home. They'd taken every single one of them, so I was pretty disappointed. So this year what I'm doing is I'm just gently twisting the nut in its husks sideways, and if it comes away from the tree then I'm harvesting it, because I want to get in there before the squirrels. Sorry, showing you the back, that's not very interesting, is it? So yes, I want to get in there before the squirrels do, and also they do tend to strip. I've got another walnut tree there that's just a young one. This is a hazel. Oh, there we go, look. Oh, probably can't really see it. That was a green woodpecker. So yeah, this hazel tree has actually, looks like it's lost all of its hazelnuts already. So I think they've been at work on that one. Right, so moving on to the fruit trees. Here's one of the pear trees that is so weighed down. It's my own fault really. I should have been out here and been a little bit more brutal with thinning out. It's very tempting not to take too many of the fruits off of the tree, because you just look at them and you think, well, why would I get rid of all the fruit? But then the fact is, if you don't get rid of some of it, you end up like this, with branches that are just so heavy that they can't support themselves, and they can either break, or you just end up with smaller fruit. So like on this branch over here, I did thin these out a bit more, and as you can see, they're much bigger pears on there. So there'll be a couple more weeks, and then we'll sort of start seeing some drop to the ground, and that's when I'll know that they're ready for harvesting. So just moving onto the next tree here. Now this one is one that I grafted onto an apple rootstock that I'd grown from pip, and so one stem of it I put conference pears, which you can see here, and on one of the other stems I put Williams concretion pears, which is this one. So I will be showing you how to do grafting. It takes a bit of time to just sort of perfect it. I had quite a lot of failures along the way, but I'm quite a persistent person. If something doesn't work, but I know it can be done, as in obviously the nurseries graft fruit trees, so I know that can be done, so then I'll be quite persistent and keep trying until it works. And luckily eventually it did work, and now from the 2 or 3 pear trees that we started with, we've now got, I would say, probably 50. Right, so I'll take you around the other side and bring you up on the south side where the food forest orchard is, and then you can see what's going on there. Now as we come along this path, I want to just show you this rose bush. It's actually a climber. It's called the Albrighton Rambler, and it's a David Austin rose, and it's thrown up this one long shoot because it is a climber stroke rambler. But what I want to show you is on this stem here. Now I have spoken about this before, and if you look here very closely, can you see the brown? Let me get this to focus. It's not doing very well. Anyway, there's a brown lesion there, and that's damage caused by a sawfly, and the sawfly cuts into the stem, and then it lays its eggs, and then as the eggs hatch it turns into like little caterpillars, which then basically eat the leaves and totally damage your rose. So if you do ever see them and they're bright orange, a bit like the size of a housefly, if you ever see them, then get them off of your rose as quickly as you can, or whatever other plant you've got that's been attacked. Here we've got St Swithin, and we've got a waspy on there. And they do seem to like rosebuds, unfortunately. So St Swithin is a climber of David Austin, and it's got a really strong myrrh fragrance, and it really does get some massive flowers. They can grow to be a good 4 inches across, and they're very flat normally when they're totally open. A bit like, I think they would normally describe them as a saucer saucer sort of shaped flower. Yeah, there's another wasp there. Look, there seems to be a lot of wasps around this year. I don't know what they're attracted to on the roses, but I have seen them eating rosebuds before. So I don't know. It's one of those untold mysteries, isn't it? So Schoolgirl is doing her thing, and really nicely. She's got a lovely fragrance, and she's growing so well this year. She didn't do very well for me last year, but I moved her and I've put her on this arch. It's an old arch which is pretty rickety. It's got sections missing that have broken off because it's been here for a good many years. So yeah, she's got quite a few buds, and she's got some lovely flowers. She's very healthy at the moment. She's got a little bit of black spot, but she's probably been neglected over the last few weeks. I haven't been giving my roses as much attention as I probably would have done, but hopefully now I can rectify that. So yes, that's Schoolgirl. This one's Litchfield Angel. We've had a bit of rain lately, so she's got a bit of damage on her petals, and hence that's why she's nodding a bit now, because she's got a lot of weight. But she's like creamy, peachy creamy white, depending on the stage of her flowers. And she's another very reliable David Austin rose. Hardly any thorns, as you can see on the stems. There's nothing. There's an odd one further down, but as you get towards the flowers, there's hardly anything thorn wise. She's another one of my well recommended roses. She's got lovely buds. She doesn't have a very strong fragrance. That's probably the only downfall with this rose. But I've got so many other fragrant roses in the garden that the odd one without any fragrance isn't a great loss. She's nice and healthy, and she grows to about, I think, a good 3.5 to maybe 4 foot tall if you don't prune her too hard. So yeah, she's lovely. And here we've got Queen of Sweden. I do think her flowers are so pretty. They're quite small really compared to a lot of the other David Austin roses, but I don't mind that again, because it's nice to have a variety of different sizes and forms. And her colouring is different again, because she's got, even though she's what you class as pink, she's more of a peachy pink. I'm going to be moving this one. She's still in the cutting garden, so I'm going to be moving her this winter. She's standing about 2.5 foot tall at the moment, and she's basically outgrowing this cage, so I think I probably could take the cage off of her now. I think the rabbit and deer damage has sort of bypassed us for the time being, so that's it. Her cage is off now, so she can breathe a sigh of relief and start to spread out a bit. She's got some nice new growth here. Her new growth is quite red tinged. She's lovely. She's very upright, and I think if you've got a mass planting of roses, she will stand out on her own because she's so upright. So if you've got a few roses that are a bit floppy, it's probably a good idea to put this one in the middle. she'll not only support the others, but she'll also give you a really prominent show of flowers. Let's have a quick sniff. I can't remember what she smells of. Oh yes, she's a definite myrrh. Probably not one of my favourite fragrances for a rose, but it's not unpleasant. My favourite is the fruity fragrances really, but she's okay, so she's definitely going to be moved into a more prominent place in the main part of the garden later on in the year. So let's go on now and I'll show you the heavily laden fruit trees. Right, so we're just going into through the gate. We have a deer fence that we have running. Basically it runs all the way around the back of the cutting garden, which is what I'm showing you now. That's the old cutting garden. It's got all sorts of mishmash in there at the moment, and that's just to protect everything. Unfortunately the deer sometimes do get in, and also the rabbits do manage to find their way in as well, because I don't know how you can keep rabbits out, because no matter how you try, they always seem to be able to squeeze under a gate or get through a little gap somewhere. This is a Williams von Cretian tree which I grafted. I've had to chop the branches right down because this tree was leaning over. You can see where I've just basically chopped off. You can summer prune fruit trees, so it doesn't harm it to give it a prune if it's needed. So it's probably ended up with about a fifth of the fruit that it started with, but that's better for the tree because then it won't get weighed down, because it's only a little tree, it's only a baby still, so I didn't want to overburden it. So anyway, this is one that I really want to show you, and I love this. And this is an Asian pear, and it's one that I grew from seed probably a good 10 years ago or so. And this is the first year that it's actually had any fruit, and it's absolutely chock-a-block full of these pears. Now I don't know what they'll taste like, but they're all lined up. Every single branch is absolutely full. Look at them all. It's amazing. They're all there. There's got to be a couple of hundred, I would say, pears on this tree. So anyway, as I said, it's an Asian pear. And because we've never had any fruit, because normally Asian pears, they have their blossom really early in the year, and of course in the UK we get frost, and say if the tree's got blossom in February, as it does seem to do, then the frost will damage the blossom, and of course then that means you just don't get any fruit. So there, look at that. It looks a bit like a commis pear, but then it has got if you look under at the bottom of it, it does have that classic sort of Asian pear look to it. So we'll see. It'll be trial and error this year. I don't even know when to harvest these pears. I suppose you wait for the colour to change, because they're normally quite a goldeny pale colour. So once the colour changes and they start to drop onto the floor, then I will be in there and trying them out. So another tree that I want to show you, another pear tree, in fact we've got a few pear trees that are in the same sort of situation. Is this one. This is only a young tree, but again it's absolutely full of fruit. And this is a Berhardi pear. It's trying to support itself by leaning on this other tree. And then this one here is a Discovery apple tree. And these are usually really ready in September, and my husband loves these. It's his favourite apple, Discovery. They've got very white flesh. For me they're a little bit tart, sour, so I tend to stew them, and I will start stewing and bottling the apples and the pears probably in the next week or so, when the earlier apples are ready. We've got one called Sunrise, which is one that we bought in, a domestic apple, and I do tend to start by cooking that one and bottling it for the winter. Moving over here, this is another one of the Asian pears that I grew. It's from the same batch of pear seeds which came from an Asian pear that we bought years ago at the market, but this one's completely different because the fruit's quite tiny really in comparison. It's probably difficult for you to see, but the fruit on here is not even 2 inches high. There's lots and lots of it, but it's really small. So I'm interested to see A, how big they get before they're ready, and B, whether they're actually edible or not. But even if they're not edible, I will keep this tree because it has the most amazing white blossom. I did put a video on, it's one of my first videos actually when I started my channel earlier this year. I put a video on of the blossom, so if you're interested you could go back and have a look at that, just to see how beautiful it is. So moving along here then. So this is a new variety that was grown from pip, and I've named this one Gold Rush, and it is looking really promising. It's quite an early pear. It's very, I know it's really difficult to describe and it sounds a bit silly, but it tastes of pear. A lot of pears don't taste of anything much, but this one actually reminds me of pear drops. It has a beautiful flavour. It's really crispy, and it does soften up, and it keeps for a while as well in the fridge. So this is on trial at the moment at Frank Matthews' nursery, with the hope that it might be good enough for them to introduce commercially, to grow and sell onto garden centres. So you may actually in the future be able to buy this pear tree. Of course it comes highly recommended by me, being the breeder, but yeah, so that's really exciting. Hopefully it will appear in your local garden centre, because as you can see it's a small tree. It's probably only standing about, I would say, 10 foot tall, but it's absolutely covered in large fruit. They're all big pears, and as well as that it really has nice blossom as well in the spring. So what's not to like with this tree? That's what I think. So that will be called Kingswood Gold Rush if it ever makes it to the garden centres. So that concludes the tour of the roses and the fruit in the orchard. I hope you enjoyed seeing everything all so abundant in the garden at the moment. So the tawny owl box is up on the tree, and we've heard hooting every night around 10 o'clock. It's been 2 owls calling to each other, a male and a female, and a couple of nights ago we actually heard the female in the conifer next to the tree where the bird box is, so that's a good sign that she's having a look as well. So if you enjoyed my video, please think about giving it a like and maybe subscribe to the channel, and then you'll be informed when new videos are put on. We'll try and show you everything that's interesting, because at the end of the day it's all about sharing. So that was the tawny owl nest box, which is located at the end of the polytunnel on an alder tree, which is the tallest tree we've got. So we thought that was probably the best place for us to place the nest box, and then we can sort of keep our eye on it as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. So bye for now.